Good everyone, welcome to this video. Today we have a review on the Russian P-47 D-27 Thunderbolt, aka the Stalin Bolt. This aircraft is, whilst it does have a different name to the other premium P-47s that we mostly have in the game, such as in the German tech tree, this is merely a D-25 with a different name. So if you have flown the US P-47 D-25, you have flown this aircraft already. It's just in a different skin and with different ordnance options. Now, unlike the US P-47, you do not get access to rockets, but unlike the German P-47, which at the time of this recording is currently still available for sale, but as this video goes out, it will no longer be. So I hope you picked up a teardrop German P-47 whilst you still could, because there is going to be a Razorback to replace it. Anyway, so the Russian P-47 D-27 is, as I said, based off the D-25 model. I would have loved for it to be based on the D-28, but we can't always have nice things, can we? The differences between the Russian P-47 and the German P-47 are pretty much non-existent, but most people tend to pick Stalin Bolt for multi-use purposes, and there's a good reason for that, and we'll get into that very shortly. Now, I have covered P-47s on the channel before. I have reviewed the Hitler Bolt, obviously the old Hitler Bolt. I will likely be picking up the new one. It depends on what I think of it and if I think it's worth my time. Or I might get myself the French P-47, which is coming up, and I may just save the money on the German Razorback for another day, personally. But we'll see. So in terms of differences between the German P-47 Premium and the Russian P-47 Premium, obviously a Russian skin, but we also have one other difference. The Stalin Bolt can carry some bombs, and they're actually pretty good. Now, you have a choice of either one single 250 kilogram bomb, two 500 kilogram bombs, or two 500 kilogram bombs, and one 250 kilogram bomb. I have this set as my favorite weapon, and as you can tell, Stalin Bolt is very useful in ground forces. It really strengthens the Russian 4.3 lineup because recently they lost their T-34-57, but I have tried the Stalin Bolt in ground forces, and I have to admit this thing is a godsend for some of the Russian ground attackers. The problem is with most of the Russian ground pounders at this BR, well, around about this BR, is they're a bit too fat and clunky. Whilst the P-47 does have a bit of clunkiness, if you keep the speed up, this thing is actually quite agile for what it is, and I have to give it that credit. And compared to some of the other Russian ground pounders, such as the Yak-9T, which some people use as a ground pounder with the 37mm AP, this completely blows it out the park, in my personal opinion. You have a lot more ammunition for your guns, you are a lot more tougher than the Yak-9 down, because this thing can take a beating. And having the bombs, which can practically nuke anything at this BR, the 250 is a little worse, but it's still quite suitable, is all I will say. I would rather take this over a Yak-9T, in my personal opinion. And I see a lot more Stalin bolts now, and I certainly see why people do it, because this thing is amazing at ground forces. But otherwise, it's your standard P-47 D-25, same engine, same fuel tank layout, same armor plating, same ammunition capacity. There's nothing really for me to mention. I've covered the D-25 airframe before in the German P-47 review, and well, if you want a bit more in depth about that, go check out that video. But otherwise, the main key, shall we say, like tactic to making the D-25 airframe work is patience. I've mentioned this before in the British Hellcat review. That thing takes time to climb. This does as well. Its climb rate is very poor for a 4.3 aircraft, but that doesn't make it a bad plane. Far from it. Now, recently, I have had trouble with the tracer belt. As you saw, I had ground targets loaded. I would recommend ground targets at 600 meters convergence, or if you want to get a little bit in close, try 500. I tend to use 600 meters convergence because I tend to do a long burst of the 50 cals and then dodge from a head-on. That tends to score me a kill if the enemy pilot doesn't dodge as well. So it's really down to personal preference, but recently I'm going to be switching all my P-47s to ground target ammunition because at the moment Tracer's been sparking for me. I've had to pour 400 rounds in a zero for God's sake, and on my ping that should not be happening. So yeah, it's really down to personal preference, but all I will say is ground target ammunition, 600 meters, and you will nuke practically everything. So let's get into the battle and let's take a look at what the Russian P-47 D-27, although I'm just going to call it a D-25 because that's what it is. If you actually test it alongside a regular D-25, they are exactly the bloody same. The D-27 designation is just to try and fool you. Now, for 1,900 Golden Eagles, do I think this aircraft is worth it? Good question. It's quite expensive, to be brutally honest, but it's really your personal preference, is all I will say. I'm just going to jump us ahead, because this is quite a long climbing process. So whilst we're in the climb, I might as well discuss about this aircraft's price tag. This aircraft clocks in at 1,900 Golden Eagles. And subsequently, that is quite expensive to some for a rank 3 aircraft. Now on a sale, that comes to 950 Golden Eagles. It's certainly worth it on a discount. Do I think it's worth full price though? It depends. If you are rather skilled with your P-47, like in general, just any P-47, I would say get it. But otherwise, I would say wait for a sale. But I actually do think this thing is worth full price. If you don't like King Cobras, I would put this aircraft over it, personally. If you're just not a fan of King Cobras, although I do love the A5, is all I'm saying, as you'll see in that thing's review, which will be one of the last reviews of the premium haul that we got in November sale. All I will say is this thing, the Cobra, and the Akutan Zero are definitely my top 3 from my acquisitions, is all I'm going to say. Now, we've spent a couple of minutes climbing, and as you can probably tell by the team list, this team ain't doing great. This team has been completely butchered whilst I've been climbing. And that right there is a P61A. That is the premium P61. And he does do the right thing. I mean, he does try to extend. I'm not going to knock him for that, but if I was him, I would have just dodged the head-on and continued on the PE2. Which he's trying to do right now, but you could have probably killed the PE2 by the time I swung the guns around. And there you can see that the ground target ammunition with 600 meters convergence is really good. That is if you get it on target, because my aim was a little bit shocking there, I will admit. Kill number 1. But anyway, back to the team. As you can probably tell, this team isn't doing great. And subsequently, it's only going to be me and that Peshka that I just rescued that's going to be left alive. Yeah. Now, he doesn't really do a lot for the team. He mostly spends the game ground pound, well, bombing bases. But to be fair, he might be stock for all I know, so I'm not going to knock him for it. The ironic thing is, though, this thing actually carries a better payload than the Peshka, which I find quite funny. But obviously, I have no plans to strap up bombs when there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 enemy fighters left, and this P-47 in front of me is one of them. Now, here's my tip for head-ons. 0.8 of a mile, which, convert that to kilometers as you may wish. Fire a burst, get out of the way. Chances are, if you're not fighting something that's too tanky, like a P-47, you will be able to mostly cripple or outright kill them. Now I know what some people are thinking. Razorback versus a Teardrop. What's gonna win? To be brutally honest, it's down to whoever turns first. But as you can tell, I'm getting a little too fat, so I thought I'll pull the nose back up. He won't be able to swing it back round. I've already crit one of his wings. But as you can tell, he is struggling. He just can't bring it up. And there we go. Now I wasn't sure what had shot there, and it turned out to be the PE-2. This P-63, for some bloody reason, decides to just park there, which, thank you for the third kill. But there we can see again, I fire a burst and I get out the way. That's how I do my head-ons in P-47s. I do not want to get hit, because at the end of the day, any bit of horsepower I lose can make the difference between life and death. This D-27 RE is currently having a... well, he's having a bit of a bad day, because he doesn't have much speed. And, well... I hope you brought some marshmallows there, buddy. Kill number 4. That now leaves 2 enemy aircraft left. That leaves the D-20NA, who's been farming bots, and he's going to be a bit of a scumbag later, as we will soon see. But soon enough, we're also going to see an A6M5 Co. The co-pilot is, well, he's going to try at least, but the P-51 pilot, he doesn't really try a lot. So, yeah. But we spent a couple of minutes here just reclimbing, and I just wanted to show the reclimb, because main reason for that is a lot of people just don't have the patience to climb in Stalin Bolt, hit the bolt, etc. They don't have the patience, and you need patience. That is the key to flying most American aircraft. You need patience. I'm not going to make you sit for the whole recline. I mean, some of my viewers are over the age of 60, so I need to kind of consider that. But at this point, I hit an Avenger order to find the rest of the enemy aircraft. I'd already been watching a dot, which was just over here. That is the P-51. He started to reclimb after I killed the P-47 Razorback. But even so, I honestly thought he was going to be a fighter and actually try and fight back, because a Stalin Bolt versus a Mustang is a good fight. A Stalin Bolt versus a Zero, though, not so much. Kill number 5, and that is the ace in the day. That just leaves Mr. P-51 D-20NA, flown by a Chiron Rider, and you're going to see exactly what this little shit is going to try and do. And that is, well, this part is why the replay is titled Seeing Red. It is not because I'm flying a Russian plane, well, a Russian Lend-Lease plane. No, otherwise I'd have just been including Russian music this whole video, but I'd probably get copyright strikes, so I'm not going to do that. But there's one thing that really pisses a lot of us off nowadays, and I'm sure many people can work it out. So first of all, we need to skip the reclimb. It's only a brief reclimb, because he's not actually got that much altitude to him. He's only got about 12,000 feet, which for you meters used is almost about 4,000 meters. But this is where I quickly learned what kind of player he is. I fire a good burst into him. Again, sorry for the noises, that is a replay bug, I cannot fix that. But the second I turned back, bear in mind, he had more speed than me. Where's his nose pointing, folks? I'll give you a couple of seconds to think about it. That's right, he is running straight for the runway. Doesn't matter which runway he runs to, he just wants runway cover. Now, to be brutally honest, if I was in this situation, I would actually want to be in the Mustang as opposed to the P-47. But no. This little shit is going to spend the next couple of minutes running to his runway to try and land and probably abuse the J-out mechanic, which I've seen a lot of people doing that recently. And, well, I've just done a hairy and gotten smacked by the middle of the map AA, as you can see right there. The AA has just smacked me, my engine's now on a ticking time bomb, and I debated going back to base. You'll see me look back towards my airfield in a minute, and I debated going back. I only had about 10 minutes of fuel left, I had about 1,500 rounds, or give or take, I had about 1,500 to 1,800 rounds, give or take, somewhere in that region. And I debated heading back to my airfield. And as you can tell, I did a hairy and said also, run, Forrest, run, because who doesn't love a bit of Forrest Gump, but even so. So I decided to give this guy a couple of minutes to land and J out if he wanted to. However, my generosity recently has been abused by many. A lot of people tend to runway camp now because of my generosity. And, well, sometimes you just have to take that generosity and throw it out the window, or in this case, throw it at the airspeed dial. Just watch the airspeed is all I'm saying, and convert it into your local kilometers an hour if you use it, or even kilometers per hour. Coming in like a bat out of hell, I decided, you're not getting to land, fuck you, I've had enough of people who just run to their runway and not even try and fight. And I was actually relatively lucky to escape this, but that is kill number 6, and that is the end of this match. But the question is, am I going to survive the gauntlet of AAA, which is just as worse as the gauntlet of Stalin's guns? And the answer is, yes I do. I mean, you're not going to want to sit for another 5 seconds like it's some sort of cliffhanger, do you? But anyway. So for 1900 Golden Eagles, I really do think this aircraft is worth it. It is a cracking little aircraft. Just be mindful, it is a D-25, not a D-27. I think the D-27 had the same engine as the D-28. Someone will probably correct me on that. I don't actually know. I don't exactly spend my days looking at all the P-47 models, because otherwise I'd be looking at Razorbacks all day, because I love those. But otherwise, I would recommend this thing. It's certainly better than the Russian B-25. I would put it on par with the P-63, as long as you know what you're doing in this aircraft. Same with the P-63. And for 300 GE more, I would personally put this over the Cobra. But does that mean the Cobra's bad? No. As you'll see in that review, that aircraft is an absolute cracker as well. But anyway, I'm going to let you guys off. I hope you enjoyed today's review on the Russian P-47 D-27 Stalin Bolt, and I will catch you all on the next one.